Hello everyone, I'm Greyshot17, and today I kind of want to go over some stuff with CoH3. Just in general about more of the future factions and kind of go into that, especially because next month we have the heavy armor battle groups coming out. Already being announced, we have the Pershing, the King Tiger, some type of heavy tank destroyer. My assumption is an elephant based on rumor and speculation, though as previously stated in a video I made, that there is a Nashorn in there. But if the King Tiger is going with the Wehrmacht, Nashorn, I don't know if that would be a good fit for the dock. So again, maybe throw in an Italian tank or something like that. And then hopefully there's one for the British as well. Right now, I put in a few different options, but you know what? If they're just going with more CoH2 associated stuff with like the Pershing and the King Tiger, why not throw in the Comet for good measure, since the Churchill's already in the game? Now, that's coming out the end of February, and I'm sure we'll come out with a bunch of other additional stuff. But in the future, past that, I do want to kind of talk about what CoH3 has in store, at least for the future. At least from... And this is... the Reddit post more spurred this thought, more so than is like a critique. But essentially, the community manager for Relic was talking with inside the Discord, and then made a statement that currently they're not focusing on an expansion for the game proper, and that's outside of the battle groups. They're working on other things right now. They don't have a expansion that's ready to go anytime soon, right? So the way I see that is an expansion similar to the British forces, or similar to the Ardennes assaults, as aka what CoH2 had. CoH2 had a massive single player expansion, and then that followed up with an expansion with a new faction that increased the faction total to 5. CoH3 already has 4 factions, but a lot of people have been asking for a 5th faction, and based on these remarks, that is not going to happen anytime soon. Before I get to what I think the future plans could be, let me just explain. Right now, Relic is kind of in a position where they most likely need to focus on fixing CoH3. This isn't a situation where they can take lightly, because they lost their publisher support and segment. And while that may seem like good and fine, because to be fair, a lot of companies right now are not doing that great. Ubisoft, EA, well, Ubisoft's the big one, but like EA and a few others have not been hitting what they've been expecting to hit. Now, to be fair, that could be game quality and other things like that, and them focusing on just a few big hits, which I'm a big movie guy, but as you saw last year, or sorry, 2023, when you spend so much on big blockbusters and they don't hit, that can go real negative real fast. I'm not saying CoH3 is a big blockbuster, but there's probably other properties for bigger publishers that made them see CoH3 and Relic Entertainment and be like, okay, do we really need this? Which Relic, very at least in a smart maneuver, managed to pivot and become an independent company. Now, to do that, they did have cuts. They did have to prioritize certain things over another. And my guess was, we need to fix this game and get content rather than focus on future expansions. So, and I think that is the proper call. Now, unfortunately, that also meant cutting support for consoles. And in my videos, I keep getting support, especially my Twitch live stream I did for charity, which I raised over $1,000. Again, thank you guys so much. But I kept getting comments, even like asking me to do a petition to get the console version of the game back, or at least updated, because they stopped updating the game. They didn't take it away, they're just not updating. And my thoughts on that is, unfortunately, I can't say that is a smart move. Right now, my assumption is Relic is not in a great position to spread out its remaining resources on a console version. My guess, if I had my assumption is, they were spreading it out in the first place because they wanted to get a maximum audience, and they wanted to have CoH3 hit that audience, which is why a lot of design features and everything was made that way, so that way not only would new players be able to join CoH3 or play CoH3, especially in the campaign, but it's more accessible to the console audience. And to be fair, there's a lot of people who dislike that. My thoughts on it is I think in having people play on console is a great first step for them to eventually play on PC or playing other RTS games or strategy games in general, right? You don't having this PC master race sort of mentality that only PC players get to, have certain games and console players get nothing doesn't help. And again, I'm someone who grew up on console, played console RTSs, and migrated to PC, right? Where I now play strategy games. And to be fair, strategy games are very different on PC than on console. But I saw some of my favorite moments growing up was playing RTS on console. But to be fair, if you're Relic Entertainment and your main crowd is on PC, you want to appease that main crowd, especially because of the launch reaction to CoH3 and how that came out. So the reason I bring that up is they're focusing resources and they're trying to hit the places that CoH3 and the CoH community wants. For example, they did announce that there is a sort of community, there is an effort to appease the community by helping with bug fixes, even for games like CoH2 and CoH1, which I didn't think would be a thing, but they did make that announcement saying that they are looking into that and there is a way to report all that stuff, which is great. I'm very happy that they have that stuff because then hopefully they can remove or assist with cheaters in CoH2 or fix problems in CoH2. And again, CoH2 is still a very popular game, especially compared to CoH1 and CoH3, where CoH3 hasn't quite overtaken CoH2. And to be fair, there's multiple reasons for that. A lot of people will make the argument that CoH2 is a better game, but and that is a good reason, but that's not the only reason. CoH2 went free multiple times, so there's just a bigger community that is actively playing CoH2 because they got the game for free. It is a situation where they're like, okay, we need to appease that audience and we need to focus on where it counts to make the effort to keep going. Because if we focus on a half-hearted expansion without fixing core fundamental issues, it's not going to help. And I feel like they have, like maps, it's 7 for 1v1, and then 9 for 2v2, and then 7 3v3, and 9 for 4v4. So they have a good map selection, and they keep adding stuff from the community. Like, again, 2 maps that was in my map maker contest is in it. There's currently a map maker contest going on right now. So again, some good stuff there that hopefully they incorporate into the game. Relic's helping to fund it, so obviously they're looking at these maps and be like, that is community content we can add to the game and to appease the community. So all great. So with all that said, if they're focusing all their efforts on making CoH3 the best it can be, they want to make sure that the balance is right, that the content's there before they ask people for more money for a new expansion. Now, again, for a future expansion, right, and my thoughts on when that's probably going to be, I wouldn't expect that until at earliest next year is my guess. It's just been 2 years and every battle group, every faction has gotten 1. Speeding that up, even if I won for faction every year, would be way better. Because again, 1 battle group is essentially 2 commanders. That's why I'm like, okay, give a little bit more time. There's what I hope for and what I expect. Now, for the future expansion, right? Are they going to do a single player faction? Or like, no, let me phrase that. Are they going to do a single player expansion to CoH3? And I'm not sure about that. I love Ardane's Assault, and I really, but here's the thing. And I know a lot of people enjoy the CoH1 expansions. The problem I see is I feel like Relic got burned with the single player content for CoH3. I feel like they put so much effort into that and kind of removed itself from other features that CoH3 needed that they got burned by the community. So I feel like their priority is focusing on multiplayer rather than single player. So my hypothetical and what I really would like is an Italian expansion with the Italian invasion of Greece. I don't think that's popping up. I know Joey G's brought that up, that he really wants that expansion too, and a few other people, but I just don't see a situation where they release a single player campaign And the immediate reaction is, well, multiplayer could have this or multiplayer can have that, because you have that very vocal multiplayer community that's still wanting certain things. And again, I'm not saying that that's the what's right or what's wrong. I'm not saying that at all. Again, this is a company, and I'm not criticizing or saying anything along those lines. I'm just giving my honest opinion. And as much as I want that, I feel like they could incorporate the Italians into the dock, right? And put a lot of those units there, so that way they can keep their 4 factions, and then they can put it into potentially a bigger money maker, right? Because I'm just looking at financial security. Incorporating CoH3 in some capacity would probably be better, because there is that core 2 community that still hasn't transferred over, and if you can bring them over, that would be a huge win. So what do you do? And my thoughts on that side would be incorporating the Soviets, which again would be more of a kind of like, okay, it's kind of, I don't know, it feels like the last 2 games where it's like, okay, we're bringing in old factions. And I know CoH2, it didn't I mean, CoH1 didn't have the Soviets, but still it's like bringing in that old faction. But I feel like if you want to make money and you want to get that audience in, you bring in the Soviets, you bring in the more interesting units, the T-34s, the KVs, I don't think maybe IS-2s, maybe you give something a little different. B4 for me, right? If you gave me a B4 commander with a authentic B4, one shot please, you would have me easily buying that. And again, financial security. That one becomes a little bit harder in terms of how do you incorporate a Soviet campaign in the Balkans. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just you're going to be picking battles in situations where it's going to be very small scale compared to the larger operations. In Romania and other things like that are maybe a little bit too far out. Again, you could do like the collapse of the Romanian front and other things like that, and then the invasion of Bulgaria. Well, kind of invasion, but whole situation with Bulgaria, and then the attack on Yugoslavia. Not really Greece, because that kind of went to the British, but during that time. But still, you have a lot of different avenues you can have key battles in if you want to have cool scenarios with like the liberation of the Balkan region during the end of World War II. But again, that's bringing in that's bringing in weapons that are in late war, where CoH3 is specifically designed for early war. But again, we're also getting a King Tiger and a Pershing. That's why I'm bringing this stuff up, is because at this point they're like, okay, people want heavy tanks. That's the main thing people like from CoH2. Fine, give them heavy tanks. All right, you guys want the Soviets? Fine, we'll give you the Soviets. I feel like Relic's in kind of that mindset, and that's not saying that's bad. I mean, if that makes more content and they can learn from their mistakes and improve upon their mistakes, great, that's fantastic. I just see it as that's where they're going, and that's my thoughts on the expansion and stuff. They'll most likely do a British forces expansion for the Soviets, I'm assuming in next year sometime. That's my guess. I would love to be proven wrong and we get a Greek campaign. I would also be fine with a Soviet one, but if I'm like going with chances, the Greek one is down here, the Soviet Balkan one is here, the chance of a Soviet faction is up here. That's my guess as to what they would do, because again, it makes sense. People want it. People they want to bring the audience from CoH2 over to CoH3, and by then, I'm assuming plan would be incorporate every feature in CoH2. Okay, maybe not every feature. The weather system's not there, but most of the features from CoH2 over to CoH3, so that way it brings in that audience, right? And there's things that CoH3 does do better than CoH2. Like I do like the replay. I wouldn't say the UI. The UI can still use a couple tweaks with the one they put out. But in terms of, for example, putting a replay in, I don't have to restart the game. I don't have to worry about crashing with CoH3 as much as CoH2, because I recently played CoH2 for the charity stream, and yeah, I still crashed. There are certain things that CoH3 does do better, but there's certain things that can still improve with CoH3. And I feel like they're focusing on that stuff. They're focusing on what could make the money. And then they'll be like, okay, we need to focus on DLC that will make us the biggest bang for our buck, as well as appease the audience that is actively playing our game. What do you guys think? And again, I mentioned this in the previous battle group. I want the Free French. I want the Polish. I want all these different factions, but throw them in as a battle group. Give the Americans, for the Free French or, the Polish faction, give the British, the New Zealand, division, or, the South Africans or something like that. Give them either each flair for a different country or a different region that you don't really kind of see, and incorporate them into a battle group so they have their own unique flair. I think if they keep doing that, heck, they can even do it for the Wehrmacht. You could have, and I know it doesn't necessarily make sense, but throw in a Hungarian division or a battle group or something crazy or something along those lines. I think at this point, historical accuracy just thrown out the window. I don't really care. There wasn't a King Tiger in Italy during this time of the war. Just have a unit in there that's fun to play. I think that's the biggest thing, that if anything they've learned, just do that. Ignore the audiences like, I want my historical accuracy in multiplayer. No one cares. I love the Storm Tiger and Co. too. Guess what? It's not historically accurate. Don't care. Love it. But anyway, as long as it's fun, as long as it's entertaining, I think that's the main goal. And hopefully that is their plan and it succeeds. But time will tell, and we'll see what happens. And again, I'll try to have more current content and my thoughts when the battle group expansion next month comes out. But I would also say thank you guys for hearing me out. Thank you guys for tuning on in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and also thank you because for a long time I didn't want to make one of these videos again because I was terrified. Even the brief times like I did the battle group ones, I was still like, had a lot of anxiety for all sorts of stuff, and now I'm trying to fight through that. And for example, this I'm going through with one stable voice, one stable recording. I'm not like doing 50,000 cuts and recording for hours like I've done in the past. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below because I'm really interested in that, and I'll try to respond and have a healthy discussion in the comments, as I try to do. But thank you, and I'll see you all next time.
Hello everyone, this is Greyshot17, and before y'all go, let me give a special shout out to Patreon supporters Joey G240, Milam, Big Cooch, Aphyria, Ace, Pyro Shark, Tonybee 95, Epic Pleb. Thank you all for your incredible support and helping me grow my channel and support my channel and everything I do. Thank you, and to the rest of you, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.